Take a moment and just let the jaw soften, the forehead, the throat and the neck, the shoulders. And just give yourself permission to let go, to surrender the best that you can. As we go through our asanas, yin is one of the harder practices, to let go in. Some people initially think yin is for lazy people, but in fact, yin is like a gateway into meditation. So I really wouldn't recommend yin for beginners because it goes straight to that attention inwards, and sometimes we need warming up to that introduction to ourselves before we just dive straight in, which sometimes yin does do. So just observing you, allowing yourself permission to let go, but also allowing yourself to permission to feel. If you feel anything during this practice, don't try and deny it. You feel emotional, let that emotion flow. If you feel like you want to laugh your head off, laugh your head off. It's all emotion that needs to be released. It's energy in motion. So we're going to honour it, surrender to it. And now we're going to bring this into the breath. So this is an air practice, elemental yin with connection to air. Some people call it space, air and space. So we are going to have a little bit of focus on the breath. If you want to drop that breath before we start to move into the yin, then you can do that. But for now, we're going to start to increase the length of breath that we're taking in through the nose. Just make sure that your tummy is expanding outwards as you're breathing in and in as you're breathing out. I want you to start to take your breath in for a count of 5. So we're going to inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the breath go through the nose. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the breath go. We're going to add a retention now. We're going to control the exhalation. So we're going to inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath, 1, 2, and breathe out for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2. Out, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2. Out, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue that rhythm on your own for the next few minutes. Really losing yourself in the breath, really watching the breath, observing every bit of the breath. Continue with your pranayama, with your breath, but just double check in with your posture, your seated position, because it's not the most comfortable for a lot of people. So think of this as your first yin pose, if you like. I'm going to sit with that breath a little bit longer. Never underestimate the power of the breath and sitting with the breath. Keep that rhythm in. 5, hold, 2, out, 7. Now you're going to leave the 2 count hold and just breathe in for 5 and out for 7. If you wish to plant any seeds of intention for today's practice, for your week ahead, for your month ahead, for the year ahead, you don't have to start new intentions on the 1st of January or 1st of the month. Start on a Wednesday, why not? Start midweek, start on a Sunday, be a rebel. But if you are going to set those intentions, now is the time for you to do that. And then you're going to drop that breath a little bit, less controlled now. And you can take your breath into any kind of breath that you want to take throughout your yin practice. It does not need to be a yogic breath. It's useful to keep the mind focused, but not necessary. So we're going to come into a little bit of yang before we go straight into our yin, just because we've been sitting for a little while and sometimes it gets uncomfortable. So you're going to come on to all fours, hands shoulder distance, knees hip distance apart. And we're going to take just a few nice slow rounds of cat-cow, inhaling as we open through the chest. And exhaling as you lengthen the tailbone, chin to chest, and press the mat away from you. Nice, slow, controlled movements. We're not trying to impress anybody. We're not trying to get the deepest back bend that we can get. We're just moving and enjoying being in our bodies. You might hear some lovely little noises, some clicks. If you want to deviate from cat-cow, you can get a little bit funky with it. You can rock the hips from side to side. You can do anything that just feels natural and organic to your body. That might be circling the hips, maybe curling the toes under, bringing some weight into the feet so that we can stimulate the feet. If you're a chakra kind of person, you'll know that there are main chakras within the body and the system, but we also have tiny little ones within our feet that also need unblocking. And then from here, we are going to take it into our first yin pose. So you may want to block for this. You can do it without. So we're going to come into our Sphinx pose first. So we're going to bring ourselves onto our tummies. And we're going to have the feet hip distance apart, slightly wider if you want to, but we're not engaging the feet, we're not pressing into the legs like we would usually if we was holding in a vinyasa or another style class. We're going to have the arms to the mat, forearms parallel, elbows underneath the shoulders. I'm going to press down into the mat. Now you can either gaze forward, you can press down through your pubic bone slightly, or with this one you can let your head rest on the block. You could let the head hang. I would probably hold it here for a little bit and then over a few moments then drop the head, but it is totally up to you. It's your practice. So our time in our Sphinx will begin now. As always, just like any yin, if you see me clock watching, I'm just checking you're in for the right amount of time. So allowing the breath to flow. Allow emotion to flow if it wants to. Air, space, give yourself space to feel. So one thing I don't want you to do here is to collapse the pose. I know it's passively held, but I don't want you to allow the shoulders to start to collapse up towards the ears, because we lose the integrity of the posture. We want to keep the alignment. So if you feel the shoulders wanting to go, that might be a nice indication to bring your forehead down. And although yin is held passively, it doesn't necessarily mean comfortable. So yes, you might start to feel some heat in your shoulders if you're maintaining this position. And if you want to, you can always increase it from now and take it to a seal. If you want to go deeper into the back, press into the palms and lift the elbows away, and you'll take it slightly deeper into the back. Again, be mindful of shoulders scrunching up. Keep them relaxed and away from the ears. When you lose your edge, the edge of the pose, find a new one. So that might be the difference between staying in Sphinx. Once you lose the edge, move into seal. Some bodies might not be ready for seal, and that's okay. Observing you and the breath for another minute. Just coming into your final 30 seconds. So if you want to deepen that edge, if you've lost it, you can go a bit deeper. And then we're going to head into rebound pose, which is always your choice. Usually I've child's pose, forward facing Shavasana, or backwards facing Shavasana. You can use seated as another alternative. So you're going to take that final breath now, fully in. And just let it flow away from you as you start to move in for your minute rebound. I'm going to go for reverse Shavasana as it is just here. You choose yours. Last breath here in the rebound. And then we're going to come actually back into Sphinx and a half frog. So I'm going to find that arm position once again. This will not be done with seal arms. This will be Sphinx, forearms down, elbows underneath the shoulders. So we're going to start with your right side first. So we're going to take your right leg out to the side at hip height. So knee in alignment with your right hip. And then if you can, right ankle in alignment with the right knee. If that's too much, you can bring the ankle in a little bit narrower, and quite frankly, that looks more like a frog anyway. So we're going to press down through the palms, through the forearms. Again, not allowing the head to drop, the shoulders to sink, and just pressing gently to that inner right thigh. So we're not compensating and shifting all the way over into one side. So allow yourself to move in. Notice sensation. Doesn't always have to be a great sensation. Just observe and really move in and notice you. You can always opt and go for the forehead rest as well. So you're in your final 20 seconds on this side. So just finishing these last breath or two, maybe three. And then into your rebound of choice. Again, I'm going forward facing Shavasana because it's here. And slowly bringing that right leg around, resting the forehead down if you're heading here. If not, choose your alternative. Now, your rebound poses are not a waste of time. They're absolutely integral to our yin practice. We need the rebound poses so that we can be still, so that we can observe the energy of the previous posture, so that we can observe the physical body, its effects from the previous posture, and to slow down and notice those effects. To really tune in. So the next pose is going to be the exact same, just on the left side. Now don't just assume poses will feel the same on different sides of the body. Show up like you've not done it before. Don't just think it's going to feel like it did on the right. It might, but it might not. Back onto the forearms, palms, forearms down, elbows down, and now bringing that left knee out to hip height just as you did on the other side. Adjust the position, move the ankle if you need to. And then in for your 2.5 minutes on this one. If you lose your edge, find a deeper one. We're in the final minute on this side, so if you want to take it further, if you want to back away, back away. Although don't get into the habit of backing away from the discomfort. If there isn't shooting or burning pains, if it's just the discomfort, then we want to try and learn to sit with that and to be with that if we can. We're not going to force anything. Of course, we're not going to sit with if we feel like our hip's about to dislocate. But if it's just a gentle pull and it's just your mind that's telling you to get out, we try and just sit through that. Not all of the thoughts that the mind presents to you are true. So just in your last 15 seconds, last couple of breaths. And transition to your rebound. Let the body relax into it and observe all the parts of the body that you've just worked. And into our next pose. So we're going to come all the way up for this one. And we're going to come into Baddha Konasana. So you're going to come to seated. You can elevate on the block if you need to. And you might want a bolster handy. Or even a block might do. So obviously with Yin, we're not looking for that textbook alignment for the tall straight spine. So feet together, knees wide. Knees, feet out as wide as you want them. The closer in, the deeper the stretch is going to feel in the inner groin. The further away, the softer it will be, and a bit more of a stretch around your lower back. Equally, if you pull them in and this starts to happen, you round, that's not the position for you. You want the nice tall spine. You want the pelvis nice and neutral or slightly tilted forwards and not backwards, which will happen if you shove the feet too far in when they're not ready. So hands are going to come to the ankles or the feet, and you can use your bolster to rest your forehead on. If you've got the range, you might just need a block to rest your forehead on. So find what works for you. Equally, you can let the head hang for this one if you wish. Don't tell my yang classes that though. Just my yins. So forehead soft, neck soft, arms soft, body soft. Give yourself permission to be soft, to soften. It's not a bad thing. So what you might start to feel is the edge soften, fold deeper when that starts to happen. So you're not sitting with complete discomfort, but you are sitting with just that little, oh, if I just drop back it'd be a lot nicer. You want to stick in that little edge, right in that balance. And release. Rebound of choice, Shavasana, forward facing, child's pose. You can remain in a seated position if you can relax into it. Observe the areas, hips, lower back, even your forehead if you had it resting on something. So as you're on your rebound, just about to finish up, just notice where you have space, air. And just take a couple of deeper breaths, creating a little bit more space within the physical body. And then we're going to transition to our wide leg forward fold. So again, you might need your bolster for this one. You can put the legs out nice and wide. I am going to stay on my block. You can stay on yours too if you're on one. And the same as Baddha Konasana. If you want to use your bolster to rest your forehead on. If your tummy doesn't naturally start to just rest on the mat, just casually, little reminder, most people's don't, right? It's only the real bendy ones that can get that kind of alignment. So don't stress if your body's like mine and folds to about here, all right? It does other cool stuff. So hold on to those instead. So what, it might not fold its belly to the floor. Who really cares? So it's yin. You can round or you can rest the forehead on your bolster. Some of you might have a better range than I do, in which case you just need a block or two. And then let yourself move in to this one. You can have the palms resting forward facing. You could hug the bolster. I quite like to just have them resting and let the shoulders relax. And bring the palms to face upwards. If you need a new edge, take it a little bit further. If you start to get really comfortable, push it again. Final 15 seconds in this one before we choose to rebound. So that's maybe breath, 2, 3 max. And then transitioning to your rebound. Laying down, backwards, forwards, child's pose. Or seated is always an option. It's not the best rebound though, out of all of the others. And start to leave. Now this next one, I'm going to talk a little bit about it just because I want you to get the correct alignment. It's going to be the same for the other side, so I'll get the talking out of the way now and I won't do it again on the other half. So we're going to take a half variation of hero's pose, which isn't for everybody. So if you have any knee injuries or knee issues, we're going to modify it slightly and I'll talk you through all of these. So the first thing we're going to do is going to take our left leg out first. Your right leg is going to be bent and you're going to bring your right ankle to the outside of your right hip. So this does require some mobility in your knee, all right? And also you're going to feel the stretch in your left hip flexor potentially. Now, if you get to this point and you're thinking absolutely hell no, you've got another option. You can sit on the heel, which then pulls that knee in slightly, but you won't be able to see the outside edge of the foot on the outside edge of the leg. You will potentially then need to prop up the opposite butt cheek, so that may well be the case. So if that's not for you, you're going to bring the foot under, elevate the left hip. Now, if you are here, you've got other options. You can either stay here. If you're feeling this in this quad from this position, then stay here because you can always move deeper into your edge as the body starts to open up. We are going to go for a recline variation. So if you are going to take it with me, we're going to start to bring ourselves down to the mat as we do this position. You can also add a bolster beneath your back if you want to make it a little bit less intense, all right? So if that's the case, you're going to lean back over your bolster. And it shouldn't be too horrendous, but this one might take some jigging to get into. So make sure that you're happy. Oh yeah. So you can have the palms facing upwards here. Or you can let the back go completely flat. I thought I was going to go completely flat, but I don't think I'm going to now. I think I'm going to, now, I've got to show you. So if you do want to, then obviously bolster out of the way. If you come completely flat and your knee that's bent starts to ping up, I want you to just raise the back up to a point where your knee can ground. So then you're going to rest here with another option available to you. I am not going to hold this one, but it's an option for you if you wish. You can bend the left knee and you can hug the left knee in towards the chest. That's too tight for my body, so I'm going to listen to my body. That's when we really practice yoga. And I'm going to just release that leg. I'm going to focus on my target area, which is my right hip flexor and right quad. Alright, so just according to you, find your posture, and our time starts now. So try and breathe a little bit deeper, potentially, especially if you find discomfort in this posture. You could always, if it's absolutely none of the variations I've given you, you can always go into a narrow knee child's pose instead. You'll be there for the same amount of time if you are opting for that. In your final minute on this side, try and relax the chest, back of the heart. Last 30 seconds. You're going to transition out of this one really slowly when we are ready to release it. And rebound. Just be mindful of your knee when you transition out. I'm going to go straight into Shavasana as I'm pretty much here. You do what works for you for the next 60 seconds. And we're going to make our way to the left side. So you can come up, you can hug this left knee in, bring it to the outside of the hips. You're not sitting on it unless you are, of course, going for the variation where you are sitting on it. You might need to roll the right side out and then either coming down back onto your bolster, back onto your back. And remember, each pose might be experienced completely differently on different sides of the body. So I'm going to give you an extra few seconds to adjust this one to make sure you've got an alignment that you're happy or happy-ish with. I don't think anyone's ever really happy in hero's pose. And already I can definitely feel a lot more tension on this side of my body in comparison to the other. So we're going to work with that, sit with that tension, observe it. Watch where it comes from. So although we're feeling this in the quad, my tension's coming in my mid-back. So we're going to really focus inwards on the physical body. So hopefully you're comfortable, and our time will start here now. Remember to give yourself permission to soften, space to breathe, space to feel, and space to sit with discomfort, space to sit with your thoughts, the part of yoga that people don't really like. Halfway through. And releasing. Starting that slow transition out. And rebound. Let the body rest. Let it open. And let it observe here. And release. Now we're actually going to bring ourselves back up for this one. So we're going to come up and we're going to take half variation of Gomukhasana. You can take full if you want to. So for today's purpose, our right leg is coming out first. And we're going to bend into the, no we're not, we're going to take the left leg out first. That's a lie. You're going to hug your right knee in. Your right leg is going to stack over your left. So it's like you're really crossing your legs. Knees are stacked. Right ankle is somewhere around the outside of your left hip or left thigh. So for those who are staying here, we're going to lift tall and we're going to melt the chest over This right leg, either forehead to your knee, or again you can use a bolster or even a cushion to bridge that gap so you can really let the forehead rest. If you're going for the full variation, the only difference is you're going to bend this leg that's underneath and bring that to the outside edge of your opposite hip and fold forwards. Whichever feels best for you. You probably know by now which works for you and which doesn't. And so come into your posture, make the adjustments, and our time starts now. Your arms can hug the leg, they can rest and just have the palms facing up. So you're just coming up to halfway with this one. So you might find that your body's started to open up. Maybe your block lowers. Maybe you don't need it because your forehead is now reaching the knee. Challenge your edge. Rest into it. Continue looking for space. Final minute. So if you know you're going to deepen it that last minute, start to make your way there now. And rebound. You know which options you have now. And then releasing your rebounds. Try not to disturb yourself too much between these as we take it to the other side. So this time the right leg is coming out, the left leg is stacking over the top with the option to bend your right leg into it as well. You could be slightly elevated here or it can be flat on the mat. You're going to find a little bit of length first and then you can start to take your fold in. As you fold down, you might need to block this side, you might not, who knows, you might go deeper, but your time starts now. Looking for that deeper edge if you need to. And then we're going to start to think about releasing this into our rebound. This is going to be your second to last rebound before Shavasana. So choose your rebound, sit for your minute and observe left hip, back of the right leg, maybe even the back of the heart if you had the head tilted forward quite a bit. Now the last posture, you will need either a bolster or a blanket rolled up like a sausage. If you've got the first email from our first yin, our water, then there's a little picture in there to remind you how to do that. Not very useful, I know, right now. However, hopefully you had them ready anyway. So we're going to come into a supported fish pose. So you're going to need your bolster, and you're going to need to sit on your bolster or your rolled up sausage blanket. And we're going to lean back, and we're going to just let the head hang over the back of the bolster. The legs are out nice and straight, palms are facing up with the biceps rolling outwards. And you're going to let that throat be really exposed here, the heart space open, that air, that space of air. It's usually our heart chakra that's associated with air element. So notice the space you have in the heart space as you rest in your fish. And the front body just open up by the support and the help of your bolster or your rolled up blanket. If there's any gripping around the shoulders, let your body relax into your bolster. Let the shoulders go. You gave yourself permission to let go at the beginning. And continue to do just that. Open up, soften. Feel your heart opening. Feel it softening. There's a really beautiful poem about living with a clenched heart. And it just talks about how you can't receive things when things are clenched. You can't receive an object with your hands if your fist is clenched. And if the heart is clenched, we can't receive and we can't give love. So just let it softly open. Open to receive, open to give. I'm just going to take your last few breaths here. And then slowly bringing yourself up off of the bolster or your blanket, rolling it out of the way and into your final Shavasana. Don't let go just yet. Allow yourself to come into that laying down position. Get your blankets, jumpers, woolly socks, thermals, whatever you know that you like for your Shavasana. Cover yourself, make yourself nice and warm because obviously you're going to have a little bit longer than you might do usually. So don't just think, oh, that'll do, move the wedgie. Release that bra strap. Do whatever it is that you need to that is going to cause you to draw your attention away from you. Release that. Don't even give the mind the opportunity to go there. And then once you are in your position, in your Shavasana, we're going to go back to that pranayama that we started with, just for a few rounds to re-ground you before you go in for Shavasana. And so just to recap, you're going to now inhale for a count of 5. You're going to hold the breath for a count of 2. And you're going to exhale your breath for a count of 7. And then I will cue you to let that go in a moment. You're going to take one more round of that breath and you're going to just release that exhalation out through the mouth now. Let the jaw soften as the breath's released. The cheeks, the back of the eyes. Allow your tongue to rest softly in the roof of the mouth with a little bit of space between your teeth. As you then allow your breathing to sink into its own rhythm. And allow your body to soften and just let go completely. Surrender into the mat and just allowing your body to let go. Biceps rolling out. Upper and lower back resting heavy into the mat. Hips heavy on the mat. Thighs heavy on the mat. And even allowing the inner shins to roll out, inner feet, as you just finally one more time soften and let go. Now we're just going to take a bit of awareness around your heart space. And you're going to take a long, slow, energizing breath that fills up the lungs. Feel the heart opening, feel it softening, and then let the breath go. Notice your heart space and just breathe normally, just being aware of the breath flowing through you. Reminding yourself to give yourself space, to give yourself air, space to breathe, to be, to sit with emotion, to sit with discomforts and not just sit with all the unicorn and rainbow stuff. Yin really does start to tap inwards. It's a great practice if you want to start an entry into meditation and sitting with those thoughts, watching them, observing them without attachment. So just observe you here, right now, in this moment. And then thank yourself for showing up today. And then promise yourself to always give yourself space to be, to breathe, to move, to do whatever it is that you need. And now start to allow some small movements, soft movements in the body. Usually the hands and the feet first, but throw a leg out there if you want. Scratch your nose, do whatever you need to. But when you've moved, once you started to reawaken your body, you're going to roll yourself over to your right hand side. And you're going to just pause there for a moment longer. As you rest on one side, your awareness will start to expand outwards a little bit more. Maybe you start to notice some of the sounds around you, the presence of other people around you in the house. Maybe you can sense them. Just become aware. And then from that space, you're going to press your way back to a seated position and press your palms together at your heart space. Find length through the spine. Find a big breath. Create some more space in the body. And let it go. Bowing chin into chest to bring our practice to a close. Thank you, every single one of you, for showing up to these practices, whether you practice them with me during your own time, it doesn't matter. The fact is that you showed up for you. So thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.